Marjorie Taylor Greene is spilling all the secrets about Donald Trump covering up the Epstein files. She's calling out MAGA influencers. She's not holding back. She's been on social media making post after post. She's been on various right-wing podcasts exposing Donald Trump and his entire regime. Let me show you what went down. So Marjorie Taylor Greene just posted the following about MAGA influencers. All of you MAGA influencers and the rest mocking the seriousness of women who were trafficked and raped as teenagers, and young women look like cult fools. Good luck trying to get women to vote for Republicans in the midterms, you insensitive clowns. The Republican Party already has a women voting problem. Keep mocking those of us who take rape and pedophilia seriously and demand accountability for corruption. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene was also put on the list of politically exposed individuals by the Trump regime, where they basically tried to hide Donald Trump and his powerful friends, the Epstein class conduct, by also including names like Janis Joplin and the former Pope and Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, and all of these like random names were put, if they were even mentioned in a news article, while lots of the kind of Epstein class individuals and perpetrators weren't even on this politically exposed list. And Donald Trump was on the list, but he put all these other people in order to try to muddy the waters. Marjorie Taylor Greene's name was put on that list. And so she said, if you're going to put my name on your fake Epstein list DOJ letter, then redact all 31 pages of the file with my name on it. What is there to hide? Unredact that stuff. Lauren Greene, Marjorie Taylor Greene's daughter, says the following regarding the Trump regime putting out that letter where the DOJ said that we have our politically exposed list and not the actual list that they're supposed to release. Greene's daughter writes, the corruption of the Epstein files is so extremely evil. They put out this list to deceive and desensitize the truth of innocence versus the real predators. Then Marjorie Taylor Greene went on this right-wing podcast called Keeping It Real, and she was just saying, here's what Donald Trump did. Here was the cover up. And I said to Donald, we have to release these files. I mean, you were out there saying you wanted to release it. We don't want to cover up for pedos. And then Donald Trump's like, those people are my friends, though, Marjorie. All of those people are my friends. I don't want to hurt them. And of course, we know Donald Trump's name has appeared over 38,000 times in the files. And from the unredacted files that have not been produced, potentially 1 million times Donald Trump's name is in it. He's a main character, folks. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said when Trump called her directly. Play this clip.
And then one day I get a phone call from the president in September, and he is so mad at me. And he's yelling at me, and he's angry at me. And the fact he's like, you're supporting Rand Paul Jr., and he's chewing me out for signing my name on Thomas Massey's discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And I'm trying to tell him, Mr. President, they say you did nothing wrong. Right. This needs to come out. Right. And so we're having this argument. And he tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Obviously, that's it. Because they're all in here. Imagine the phone calls. It's everyone. It's every single person is on this freaking list. They're all there. Every billionaire, heads of state, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel. They're all in there. And
Marjorie Taylor Greene then went on another right-wing podcast and talked about Donald Trump's biggest miscalculation. Let's play it.
It became a massive political problem. Biggest political miscalculation in Donald Trump's career was calling this a hoax, fighting the release of it, and having Mike Johnson, the speaker, refuse to bring the bill to the floor, to the point where Thomas Massey, myself, Nancy Mason, Lauren Boebert actually had to vote with all of the Democrats to get it released, to get it.
And she said, I want to be very clear. People need to stop blaming, like, oh, Donald Trump's getting bad advice from this person. She goes, you have to understand, this is coming from Donald Trump. He's the one leading the main fight to cover up for the Epstein class, to cover up for the pedos. It's coming from Donald Trump directly. She says, Aisha goes, I know, I observed it. There was no one bigger MAGA than me. She says, I observed what he did. He's the one covering up for the pedos. He's the number one cover-upper for the Epstein class. Here she talks about that. Let's play it.
Pam Bondi, she serves at the pleasure of the president and his administration. And those there are telling her, here's who you can prosecute. No, don't do this. I mean, they told her that the Epstein files, that fight to release the Epstein files came directly from President Trump. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but that is the truth. He fought the hardest to stop these files from being released. And the only reason that he signed our bill that we passed in the House was because he had to.
And then she says, she goes, you do realize, everybody in this guy's regime is Epstein, affiliated. She says, this is like the Epstein administration. She said, if you go back and look at his first administration, when you look at the files, she goes, it might as well be called the Epstein administration because they were all basically working for Epstein. He's on with Bannon and he's on with this person. I mean, you have emails, again, we're right when Donald Trump gets elected. Epstein's working to help find Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary. I mean, Epstein may have been the most influential person in Trump's first administration, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, him and Bannon were working on all the appointments and everything. And so she's like, look, right now we learned what? RFK's a friend. Howard Lutnick's a friend. She goes, Dr. Oz invited Epstein to a Valentine's Day party when he knew Epstein's a pedo. Why are you inviting pedos to Valentine's Day parties? Howard Lutnick's taking his children to the island, that's Trump's commerce secretary, where the children get sex trafficked. He's told his friend, bring your little kids as well. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's like, what the hell's going on here? And then the host of the Right Wing podcast, she's like, yeah, well, what the heck is going on here? Play this clip.
They gave no care to horrors and evil and the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, even to the point, I read this morning that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to some Valentine's Day party he and his wife were having in 2016. This is Dr. Oz that's currently serving in the Trump administration over Oz. Medicare. Exactly. But that was after Epstein had been convicted of pedophilia. So it's like, what? How do these people, and that's the hardest part. These are people that we may love, people that we have cheered for, people that I know I supported. And it's both sides of the aisle. Everybody has got to come to the horrible, nasty truth in our faces that they have all come together. And it was about making money. It was about influence. It was about power. And it is being part of the ruling world elites that have affected all of our lives. And if we as a country cannot swallow that down and hold our government accountable, Jillian, it's beyond, I think it's gone already, but it is past gone. If we cannot do that, seriously, if we can't say this, no, we've had it with every single one of you.
Yes.
Get the out of here. What are we?
Now, look, this is super important. If you used Medicare.gov to get Medicare Advantage plan information, you may want to double check your plan. The provider directory had inaccurate information on it, and it's possible you signed up for a plan that doesn't actually cover your existing doctors. Listen, folks, it's easy to choose the wrong Medicare plan, and unfortunately, Medicare mistakes can cost you thousands of dollars. That's why we partner with Chapter. When you need to choose a Medicare plan, call them. They're the only national advisor that compares and recommends every Medicare plan across Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, and Part D. And they've helped people save over $1,100 on healthcare costs. In fact, they've helped hundreds of you in the MeidasTouch community save thousands and get better coverage. These guys won't push you to buy a plan you don't want to, and their support is completely free. So if you're on Medicare or will be soon, call them at 82 Medicare. They'll help you understand enrollment options and find ways to save on your healthcare. Again, call them at 82 Medicare. And then it's interesting because you'll have these MAGA influencers try to like defend Trump, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene will repost messages saying, no, what the hell are you talking about? Like this right-wing MAGA sycophant guy, Nick Sortor, he goes, newly revealed records show that Donald Trump was one of the first people to call the police on Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in 2006, calling Maxwell an evil operator. The Democrats' narrative of Trump being involved in Epstein's sex ring is total bullshit. Trump was one of the first people to call out Epstein. It's like Sortor and all of these right-wing MAGA influencers. You do realize that Donald Trump kept the relationship with Epstein after that. Also, Donald Trump said publicly he never knew that Epstein was involved in sex trafficking and with underage girls. And what he told the police chief was, we all knew what Epstein was up to. Everybody knew, and Ghislaine is evil, is what the Palm Beach police chief says that Trump told him. But Trump told him that after Epstein was arrested for Donald Trump to cover up his own ass. Like, don't you realize that? And it also rebuts that Donald Trump didn't know that anything was going on because Trump is saying we all knew what Epstein was doing. So this is not a helpful fact for you, MAGA influencers. And then it's certainly not helpful for you afterwards that then Donald Trump wished Ghislaine Maxwell well at her criminal trial. Remember, he goes, I wish her well. Do you remember that when he said that about her when she was going into her criminal trial? He's moved her to a club fed. Why would you move her to if she's pure evil, why would you move her to a facility? And then, of course, you kept all the back channel communications with Epstein during your first administration through Bannon, through all these people. And if you think he's pure evil, then why are you okay with Lutnick and Oz and Fallon, the Navy secretary? And you, why'd you keep speaking to him and back channeling with the guy? And here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene reposts. As the leader of the where the F are the arrests community, I feel compelled to respond to this kind of MAGA influencer post. This means nothing. This is what MAGA's saying. I'm reading you what MAGA's saying, and they're reposting right here to some of these idiot MAGA influencers. This means nothing. Trump continued his friendship with Epstein until 2008 and continued his friendship through back channels thereafter. His current administration flat out is the Epstein administration. His FBI and DOJ is covering up Epstein and in violation of federal law, having only released 50% of the documents. Trump's DOJ was responsible for the utterly embarrassing humiliation ritual known as Epstein Bindergate. This is not a win. This is a cheap distraction to give some red meat to MAGA to temporarily get them past Trump's involvement with Epstein and him being mentioned over 38,000 times in the files. You know what a real win is? The effing arrests of Epstein clients. Nobody cares about Trump making a phone call to inform on his good friend Ghislaine. Then Marjorie Taylor Greene posts the following. The Dow dropped under 50,000. Can this be investigated now? And somebody posts about Leon Black, who allegedly paid $158 million to Jeffrey Epstein. And they're saying Leon Black's son is currently working in the Trump administration. And they're saying, can we get to the bottom of this, basically? And Marjorie Taylor Greene's posting, now that the Dow's under 50,000, can we take this seriously? By the way, one fact I want to just mention, just anecdotally, relatedly, I guess, about the Dow being 50,000. You know, America's market is lagging behind the rest of the world markets. And I know this is not relevant to this video. I just want to give you the fact. Justin Wolfers, my friend, great economist, he pointed this out. If the economy grew just the same pace as the rest of the world, the market, the stock market grew the same pace as the rest of the world, the Dow should actually be 60,000 now because the rest of the world's markets rose about 38% and the US did. Anyway, I wanted to give you that data point. More from Marjorie Taylor Greene right here. Here she's speaking to Tomi Lahren, which I think is interesting too, that she's on the Tomi Lahren show, spilling the beans and spilling the secrets. Here's what she told Tomi. Let's play this clip right here.
But why do you think that there's been a hesitation, not only by maybe this administration, but previous administrations to just put it all out? Are there legitimate concerns about putting it all out? Do you see some of the reasoning behind maybe not dumping them all at once or in totality? Is there something there that you think gives a little bit of justification for that?
No, I don't give them any justification at all. I don't give anyone in the government a reason for keeping this covered up. we're looking at around 1,200 women who were victims. We're talking about rape of teenage girls, trafficking. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell was. She was convicted for trafficking. Well, that's not a one-way crime, right? Who were they trafficked to? So there's many more people implicated. To me, the biggest thing is it should have never been a fight in the first place. This was a campaign promise. We all campaigned on it. People in the administration said it over and over again, release the Epstein files. President Trump talked about it back in 2015. I've supported him since early on. Mm-hmm. He talked about it since 2015. Don Jr., everybody, Charlie Kirk, everybody was release Epstein files. Ironically, no Democrats were, but all of us were. And here it turned into a fight where the president yelled at me, was angry at me, told me that his friends would get hurt. And that's why he wanted me to take my name off that discharge petition. And I told him, absolutely not. It's a moral line in the sand. And this is what ended up him calling me a traitor and saying that he would primary me. So no, this has been a major issue. He called it a Democrat hoax, which is not a hoax. Fought to release the files, had our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was fighting us to get this vote to the floor.
And then you can just see how these MAGA influencers like Cat Turd and others are kind of weaponizing the fake DOJ Epstein list. This is what the DOJ wanted to do. Like they put Thomas Massie on the list. So they put the person going after the pedos on the list to try to imply that he's the pedo. And then the right-wing MAGA influencers go on Epstein's list. Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and all of these people. Just fascinating what's developing right there in MAGA world. Anyway, keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.